Picture your body as a finely tuned engine. Pistons are cells, fuel is nutrients, and every day you can choose oils and levers that nudge that engine towards smoother performance. After 40, that engine needs slightly gentler handling and smarter fuel. Small, consistent changes can help keep the parts running well. I'm going to walk you through 10 foods and simple habits that are plausibly linked to better hormonal balance, cellular resilience, and markers of healthier aging, in a countdown you can use as a shopping list and an experiment over the coming weeks. If you find this helpful, stay until the end and subscribe for more practical longevity tips you can actually try day to day. Number 10. Wild salmon, the golden oil of the sea. Imagine dropping a tiny oil bath over the membranes that surround your cells. Omega-3s do something like that. The long-chain EPA and DHA in fatty fish support cell membrane fluidity and blunt inflammatory signaling that can otherwise interfere with insulin and steroid hormone action. Clinical trials and population studies show that regular intake of omega-3s is associated with improved markers of inflammation and metabolic health, which relates to healthier hormonal rhythms. Practical tip: aim for 2 servings of fatty fish per week or a combined 250 to 500 milligrams per day of EPA plus DHA from a high-quality supplement if you don't eat fish. Caution: choose wild-caught when possible to reduce contaminants, and check with your clinician if you take blood thinners or have allergies. Move on to the next plate. This one sets a baseline of anti-inflammatory fuel. Number 9. Extra virgin olive oil, the golden lubricant for your metabolism. Think of olive oil as a gentle reset button you drizzle on the engine's moving parts. The monounsaturated fats and polyphenols in extra virgin olive oil activate cellular pathways that protect mitochondria and modulate inflammation. Some compounds trigger NRF2-like responses, a cellular defense system often discussed in longevity research. Evidence from Mediterranean dietary patterns links regular EVOO use to better insulin sensitivity and more favorable hormone profiles in observational work. Practical tip: use a tablespoon or 2 daily raw over salads, roasted vegetables, or simply on whole grain bread, and avoid overheating it to preserve polyphenols. Caution: it's calorie-dense. Measure portions if weight management is a goal. Number 8. Cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. The liver's small mechanics workshop. Picture your liver as a workshop that modifies and clears hormones. Cruciferous veggies supply sulfur compounds that support those detoxification pathways and can favor balanced estrogen metabolism by nudging conjugation processes. Mechanistically, glucosinolates and their breakdown products help modulate enzymes involved in phase 2 detoxification. Human studies show associations between higher cruciferous intake and favorable metabolites related to estrogen processing, though effects vary by individual. Practical tip: aim for several servings per week, lightly steamed or stir-fried to retain nutrients. A raw handful of shredded broccoli in a salad can work too. Caution: if you have thyroid issues, discuss portioning with your clinician, since very large raw intakes can affect iodine utilization in susceptible people. Number 7. Fermented foods and prebiotic fibers, the gut's time machine for hormones. Your gut microbiome acts as a secondary endocrine organ. It helps modulate bile acids, short-chain fatty acids, and even the compounds that influence estrogen and androgen recycling. Fermented foods supply live microbes, while prebiotic fibers feed beneficial species that produce butyrate and other metabolites linked to improved insulin sensitivity and inflammation control. Clinical and translational studies tie richer microbial diversity and higher fiber intake to better metabolic profiles that indirectly support hormonal health. Practical tip: add a daily spoonful of plain yogurt or kefir, a few tablespoons of sauerkraut or kimchi, and work up to 25 to 30 grams of fiber daily through whole grains, legumes, and vegetables. Caution: introduce fermented and high-fiber foods gradually to avoid bloating. If you're on immunosuppressive therapy, consult your provider. Number 6. Avocado, the armor for cell membranes and steady energy. Think of an avocado as a soft shell of monounsaturated fat and micronutrients that help stabilize blood sugar swings and provides the building blocks for steroid hormones. Its healthy fats support membrane composition and transport of fat-soluble vitamins necessary for hormonal signaling. Observational research links moderate avocado consumption to better lipid profiles and lower markers of metabolic stress. Practical tip: include a quarter to half an avocado in meals a few times a week, mashed on toast, sliced into salads, or blended into dressings. Caution: again, be mindful of calories if aiming for body composition changes. She moves through her small kitchen like someone who has learned to make nourishing choices feel effortless. "So what's first in the morning?" you asked, her friend says, reaching for a ceramic mug. He smiles and points to a kettle just beginning to sing. Number 5. Green tea, time in a teacup. Sip a cup and imagine a slow-release stream of antioxidants touching the brain and liver. The catechins, especially ECGC, support metabolic signaling and have been shown in trials to modestly improve insulin sensitivity and reduce oxidative stress, and there is evidence they can influence pathways linked to cellular recycling and mitochondrial health. Practical tip: try 1 to 3 cups daily, ideally hot and not overloaded with sugar. A matcha serving concentrates catechins and can be used once a day for a bigger effect. Caution: green tea contains caffeine and can interfere with certain medications. Limit intake if caffeine sensitive and avoid excessive supplemental extracts without medical advice. Number 4. Nuts and seeds, walnuts, flaxseed, time capsules of small molecules. They are compact packages of ALA, lignans, minerals, and micronutrients that support hormonal balance and reduce systemic inflammation. Walnuts and flax provide plant-based precursors that can feed pathways producing beneficial fatty acids and phytoestrogens. Flaxseed lignans may modestly shift estrogen metabolism toward less inflammatory metabolites in some people. Evidence includes controlled trials showing small improvements in lipid panels and inflammatory markers with regular nut and flax intake. Practical tip: add a daily small handful of mixed nuts or a tablespoon of ground flax to yogurt, smoothies, or oatmeal. Caution: watch portion sizes. Nuts are calorie-rich and flax should be ground for absorption. Number 3. Blueberries and polyphenol-rich berries, tiny sparks for BDNF. Picture bright berries as sparks that whisper to the brain, grow, adapt, protect. Polyphenols in berries are associated with increased production of BDNF, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor that helps maintain neuronal health and cognitive resilience. Trials show that daily berry intake can improve memory measures and reduce oxidative markers in older adults and more broadly support metabolic health. Practical tip: a half cup to a cup of mixed berries daily, frozen or fresh, folded into breakfast or eaten as a snack. Caution: prioritize whole fruit over concentrates or high-sugar products. Number 2. Eggs whole, the daily package of building blocks. Eggs supply cholesterol and micronutrients that are necessary substrates for steroid hormone synthesis. They also provide choline, which supports liver function and methylation pathways that modulate hormone metabolism. While advice once cautioned against eggs for heart health, modern nuance recognizes them as part of a balanced pattern when consumed sensibly. Evidence indicates that moderate whole egg intake is compatible with improved satiety and nutrient adequacy in observational and interventional studies. Practical tip: aim for several eggs per week as part of varied breakfasts or meals. Cook gently to preserve nutrients. Caution: if you have specific lipid disorders, discuss tailored intake with your clinician. Number 1. Leafy greens, spinach, kale, the quiet alchemists of micronutrient status. If one food could be a backstage director for hormones, leafy greens make a strong case. High in magnesium, folate, vitamin K, and phytonutrients, they support insulin action, energy metabolism, and the methylation reactions that affect hormone synthesis and clearance. Magnesium, especially, is linked to improved sleep, better blood sugar control, and lower inflammation, all factors that support balanced cortisol, insulin, and sex hormone function. Clinical and mechanistic studies connect higher leafy green consumption to improved metabolic markers and lower systemic inflammation. Practical tip: include a generous serving of dark leafy greens daily in salads, smoothies, sautés, or blended into sauces. Caution: if you take anticoagulants, check interactions with high vitamin K intake. They sit at the small wooden table, light from the window pooling like coffee on the grain. "What about supplements?" her friend asks, stirring his tea. The host leans back and answers, voice careful and steady. "Supplements can fill gaps, but aren't a substitute for consistent food patterns and lifestyle basics: sleep, movement, stress management, all of which shape hormonal health profoundly." Between each item, remember the basics that amplify effect. Prioritize sleep to support pulsatile hormone release. Engage in both resistance and aerobic movement to maintain muscle mass and insulin sensitivity. And manage stress to tamp down chronically elevated cortisol. These aren't glamorous fixes, but they're the routines that allow food choices to translate into meaningful signals at the cellular level. Several practical threads tie the list together. Favor whole foods over processed versions. Introduce one new habit at a time and track it for several weeks. And measure changes that matter to you: energy, sleep quality, skin resilience, mood, and period regularity where applicable. None of these foods is a magic switch. They are consistent feeds for pathways that promote balance. Antioxidants to reduce oxidative drag, fibers to tune the microbiome, fats and micronutrients as raw materials for hormone production. Before you close the cupboard, a final practical map. Plan a week where 2 meals center on fatty fish and leafy salads dressed with olive oil. Add a daily handful of nuts, a cup of berries, and fermented yogurt. Include cruciferous vegetables a few times and a teacup of green tea each morning. Track how you feel over 4 to 8 weeks. If you want more guidance on portioning for your goals, or if you're on medications, check with your clinician before making major changes. Small, sustainable steps add up. Consistency is the compounder you want on your side. He smiles, tucks the edge of his napkin under his cup, and says, "All right, let's try it. 1 week, small changes, no extremes." She nods, already thinking through the pantry. A bag of frozen berries, a jar of anchovies for the salad dressing, a head of kale to sauté with garlic. They make a short list on the back of an envelope: salmon, eggs, Greek yogurt, mixed nuts, spinach, broccoli, green tea. Practical, specific, doable. Before leaving, she writes 2 simple recipes at the bottom: a 1-pan roasted salmon with lemon and kale, overnight oats with berries, walnuts, and a spoonful of yogurt. He laughs at the neatness of it and promises to send a text each morning, not to nag, he says, but to remind them both to eat the thing they planned. They clear the table together, the afternoon light thinning. Outside, the street hums with ordinary life. Inside, a plan has begun to feel like possibility rather than burden. They step into the evening with grocery lists and small resolve, ready to test whether routine, repeated, can shift the quiet chemistry of a day.